Hello folks, welcome to Spencer's Bookshelf in my 10th episode. How did we get here? Good question. It's called reading. Thank you guys so much for tuning in today and into my 10th episode and reviewing my new read that I didn't write. Wish I did because I'd be a damn good basketball player. But Kobe Bryant, the Mamba Mentality, How I Play. That's the book that we're going to be reviewing today. And I thought it was actually a good book to follow after Subtle Art of Not Giving a Damn. As we're talking about leadership, we're talking about being true to oneself and really being the best of oneself. And I think that Kobe Bean Bryant, because his middle name's Bean, wrote a book. I'm going to read it later, but I think a good book that sort of provides a lot of elements that follows up based on the book I read previously. And basically the book's about a lot about his life, but mostly about leadership and him being a basketball player and in the NBA and being not only a leader on the court but a fierce competitor and just a very successful player. And I think that's super awesome. So first I just want to do a rundown of what I'm going to do on the video. First I'm going to talk a little bit about Kobe as a player and his accomplishments. I'm going to talk a bit about what he talks about in the book. I'm also going to talk about 3 different elements of the book that I thought were very cool and things that I took in as very consequential parts. And then I'm going to give it a 5-star rating, and within the 5-star rating I'll talk a bit about the writing. And on this book I'm also going to be talking about the pictures, because it is kind of a coffee table book. There's a lot of text in it, but there's also a lot of amazing photographs, actually incredible photographs. I'm just going to pull this up. This is one of them here of him driving to the net. Who's that? Looks like Bruce Bowen who's guarding him. That's a blast from the past. Yes, so I personally followed basketball heavily growing up. Me and my brother played basketball. He was a little better than I was, but I almost would say I knew the players more than he did in terms of the NBA, because I followed a lot of them. And I'm not going to lie, Kobe was not my favorite player. I was kind of a Hakeem Olajuwon, David Robinson type of guy. Clyde the Glide Drexler was also one of my favorite players. And definitely a shout out to Sean Kemp. I still wear his jersey climbing. Okay, so yes. Firstly, a rundown on this book. Firstly, this book was written in 2018, so it's fairly new. But unfortunately, as I'm sure most of you know, Kobe unfortunately passed away of a helicopter crash in January 26th of this year. But let's run down his accomplishments. So as a shooting guard, he played for the LA Lakers for his whole career, drafted straight out of high school, 1997-98 season. He was one of the first NBA players to do that alongside players like Kevin Garnett. And basically played for 20 seasons, was an 18-time All-Star, a 15-time member of the All-NBA team, a 12-time member of the All-Defensive team, the 2008 most valuable player in the league. He was a 2-time NBA Finals MVP. I mean, that's accomplishments. I mean, if you have those accomplishments, you must be a fierce competitor. You must be a warrior, and you must have leadership. So I'm just going to talk a bit about some of the things Kobe talks about in the book. I mean, a lot of the book is talking about his experiences. He talks about certain people like Magic Johnson and Jerry West, big basketball greats who've influenced him heavily over the years, Michael Jordan obviously. But he also talks a bit about, firstly, him as a rookie. And frankly, one of the reasons I wasn't a huge fan of Kobe was I always thought he was cocky. I was like, hey, he's like not down to earth. He's a little up in outer space. But he talks about that. He's like, yeah, when I came into the league, I was cocky. I'm a little 17-year-old in the NBA, like living the dream. But then as he matured, what he did was he changed his cockiness into confidence. And he always said the slight difference between cockiness and confidence is what differs the good players from the great ones. So he said sort of the mentality of going into the game for him, and I quote, "I'm scoring on anyone who guards me," unquote, or end quote. So what that means is he's a competitor. He's not going in thinking, "Oh, I might win this game," or I that team's hard. Orlando Magic, they have like Anthony Hardaway. He's gonna shoot the Hardaway. No, he's going in and winning. It doesn't matter if it's Michael Jordan he's playing against, David Robinson, Hakeem Olajuwon. He's gonna win, and that's what made him such a great player and such a great leader. He always said the great players win the mental game as well as the physical game. So what that means is, just like I was saying before, you go into the game with a concept in your head. The concept is, I'm going to win. It's not, I might win, or this is what I need to do to win. You have no choice. You are going to win. And that's what he came into each game doing. He also had a crazy good work ethic, which was super cool. Like, he was at the gym at 3 a.m. every morning. Like, who wakes up that early? He also shot 1,000 shots a day, which is insane. Like, how monotonous would that be, shooting 1,000 hoops? I mean, basketball is fun, but when you're shooting that many hoops, holy cow. Honestly, subtle art of not giving a damn. Kobe also explains his style of play and his attention to detail, which I think is a very important aspect of leadership. He says he's not only a fierce competitor, but a lifelong student of the game, which is also an important aspect, because what that means is he knows, even though he's probably the best or close to the best basketball player ever, he's still learning. He's always learning. He's always a student. And I think in life, we all can sort of take that into account, like whether we're a financial planner or we're a engineer or something like that. If you see yourself as a student, even though you're an expert and you're always looking to learn more, you will always be better and greater and meet your goals and exceed your goals. And that's what he did. And he practiced, planned, and prepared for every move he made, as well as for every teammate and competitor. So he was methodical. He had attention to detail as a player. And that's, I think, one of the key takeaways is it doesn't matter if you're an athlete, computer programmer, doctor, lawyer, attention to detail will always make you a winner. And that's something that I'm continually working on as a human being. I've not always been the most organized, but I realize as it's something I work on, I find that I'm able to become more successful in the things I do and able to have a lot more capacity to do things that I never thought I could do. Like be on my 10th episode on Spencer's Bookshelf. Make sure, subscribe and like. Okay, so what I want to do now is just talk about 3 concepts that he mentions, Kobe Bryant mentions in the book, and I think influenced, or I think are great takeaways that have sort of spoke to me in a way. The first one he talks about is, he says, I always start off my routine close to the basket. And that's really talking about when he's practicing. So when he's shooting, he literally goes straight up to the basket. Like the basket's right there, and just go, and just starts shooting a whole bunch of shots and just slowly moving back and back. And when I read that, it actually made me think of the Navy SEALs 4-star general, Admiral William McRaven, and his convocation speech, I think it was to the Naval Academy, where he said, every time you wake up in the morning, make your bed. Because those little wins, starting small, but getting those wins gives you the confidence and the ability to continually move back and back and back and get bigger wins and bigger wins and bigger wins. And that's what can make a day go from an average everyday day to a successful day, a day where you won the day and you exceeded your expectations, what you could get done in the day. So always start off slow, and that's an important aspect. But make sure when you're starting off slow, you're getting those little wins. Another thing that I'm just going to read this out, and I think it's a very interesting thing that he talks about here. He says, when I was young, my mindset was image, image, image. I took that approach with the media. As I became more experienced, I realized no matter what, people are going to like you or not like you. So be authentic and let them like you or not like you for who you actually are. And that's an important aspect of leadership. It's an important aspect of life. And it's something I'm really terrible at. I'm one of those people, I'll go crazy when someone doesn't like me. I'm like, why can someone not like me? I'm so cool. I'm so nice. I'm so Spencer. It happens. People will not like you for reasons you never know. But you know what you do? You don't try to cater yourself to other people. You don't try to just be, I don't know, someone you're not to try to get people to like you. If you're authentic, it does. Then those things don't even matter. If you really are your true self, you're already a leader because people will respect you for you. And that's what he's talking about in that part. And in order to be a good leader, in order to lead others, whether it's in business, whether it's in sports, whether it's in a family, if you're a mother or a father or grandparent and you want to lead your child to success, you want to lead your family to success, it's all about being authentic and not wavering from the authentic true self that you are. And I think that's an extremely important lesson that Mr. Kobe Beans Bryant talks about. And I'm going to read this last part too. So this is where he talks about his leadership style and how it's changed over the years. So he says, I like challenging people and making them uncomfortable. That's what leads to introspection, and that's what leads to improvement. You can say I dare people to be their best selves. That's leadership. That's literally leadership. If you wanna know the definition of leadership, it's making that person who you want to inspire, you want to change, to be the best version of themselves. And a great leader will not only allow you to be better at the things that you want them to be better at. So, for instance, if I am a manager at a store and I want to be a leader, so that manager of the store is gonna, their goal is to increase production within their sales associates or whatever. So that the manager is going to try to get them to work harder, trying to get them to do things that will be able to get them to do a lot better. But the key thing is, if that store manager is a leader, he's going to inspire sales associates not only to be better at their jobs, but to potentially move on up or to look at something bigger than what they're in right now. That's a good example of that would be someone like Barack Obama. Barack Obama was president of the United States from 2008 to 2016. When he came in, he didn't just come in to change policy. He didn't come in just to shake things up and fix the economic recovery, bring in Obamacare and good policies. He came in to inspire a nation. And you know what that does? And inspire a people. It got people wanting to work. It got people excited. It got people thinking, yes, we can. Yes, we can get a job. Yes, I can go to university. And that's what leadership is. It's inspiring people to be the best version of themselves. And Kobe Bryant, that's what he did with his teammates. He wanted all of his teammates who were not as good at him as he was, didn't have the work ethic that he did. I mean, we were still amazing basketball players and would have had to have an amazing work ethic to even get to the level they were. But he did things leadership-wise that got them even bigger than themselves. And I think that's super cool. So, I digress. It's time to review the review of this book. Oh no, we're not reviewing my review. I'm just going to actually say what I think. And I think it was a good book. It was a coffee table book. There's a lot of pictures. Pictures were amazing. I actually give the picture part of it a 5-star rating because there were some amazing pictures. Like, holy cow. Like, It was like better than the Guinness Book of World Records, and that's one of my favorite coffee table books. In terms of the writing style, is okay, but the content of the writing was, I think, a 4.5 out of 5. So based on that, I think I'm going to give this book a 4 out of 5. I was really inspired by the leadership that he talked about. But one thing you notice in this video is I took what he said, but I was able to use it based on other things. So I do think, for instance, quoting Admiral McRaven or quoting Barack Obama, or using them as examples. That was the lack of what I think in the book. There was a lack of examples of what he talked about within his leadership style. That may have been based on the fact that probably he didn't want to go into too much depth, which is fine. But because of that, I can't give it a 4.5 or a 5-star rating. I'm going to give it a 4. But I do think it is something that you should read. If you love basketball, you 100% should read it. If you love leadership, it's a great read. I mean, there's tons of leadership books, so you could probably get similar information out of other ones. But it's nice and simple, and if you want to really get some easy, quick concepts of leadership, I think it's a great book to read. Anyways, thank you, and I'm excited that it's my 10th episode. There's gonna be so many more coming out, and I'm gonna start reading at a faster pace. It's gonna be a fun ride going forward, and I'm excited you joined me today. You're awesome. Remember, again, subscribe, like, and we're gonna grow Spencer's bookshelf. We're gonna get people reading again, and it's gonna be a yes we can situation. Obama.